There she stood, the kind of woman who looked like she moderated a neighborhood Facebook group dedicated to reporting kids hanging out at the corner store. Her hair was a fortress of platinum blonde, stiff with hairspray, and her lips were pinched tighter than a locked safe. She marched into Gate B16 at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport like she owned the place, phone in one hand, a monogram tote in the other, exuding a mix of lavender perfume and self-righteous indignation that followed her like a fog. This was Cheryl, real name's Deborah Hensley, some high-tier frequent flyer with Delta, dripping with entitlement. She'd already caused a stir by loudly insisting on speaking to the gate agent when she noticed someone else got to pre-board before her. That someone was Mark, a reserved ex-Air Force pilot now flying commercial, who was on standby after a storm rerouted his plans. Cheryl didn't care about his story, only her own agenda. The second she spotted the black lab in a green Cervois vest lying quietly by Mark's side, her inner neighborhood watchdog kicked in. "Excuse me," she snapped, her voice sharp and dramatic, "that dog's in my spot. I'm allergic. That can't be allowed." The gate agent, a woman named Tara who looked like she'd aged a decade that morning, explained calmly that Mark had a certified Cervois dog and the right to board early. Cheryl wasn't buying it. She yanked out her phone like it was a weapon. "I'm recording this for my safety," she hissed, aiming it like a gun. Mark, unfazed, just smirked. "Go ahead," he said, patting the lab's head. "Maybe get a close-up of the ADA signs while you're at it." That only fueled her fire. She switched from legal threats to playing the victim. "This is discrimination. What about my rights? I'm being forced to breathe dog hair." Her voice rose shrill and piercing, bouncing around the terminal like a siren. Passengers nearby swapped glances. One guy muttered, "Great, a Cheryl on the flight." A teenage girl filming from behind her boarding pass whispered, "This better blow up online." The Cervois dog, a steady black lab named Aces, named by a pilot, shifted a paw and blinked slowly, utterly unbothered. Cheryl pivoted to guilt. "I lost my Shih Tzu last year, so this is triggering," she lied smoothly. "I have asthma, PTSD, and seasonal sensitive VY tide disorder." Tara blinked. "That's not a real condition, ma'am." Cheryl huffed. "How dare you?" "I'm a paying customer." "So is he," Tara replied, nodding at Mark, who flashed his ticket and pilot ID. That's when Cheryl's facade cracked. "Wait, you're a pilot?" she asked, her tone suddenly syrupy. "Like, a real one?" "Yep," Mark said, standing to his full 6 feet, calm but commanding. "Just flew an emergency route to Chicago with 180 passengers." He paused. "But sure. Let's make this about your fake allergy." Cheryl tilted her head, recalculating. "So if you're not flying this plane, why are you boarding early?" she asked, smugly thinking she'd caught him. "Because the airline lets veterans with Cervois dogs pre-board," Mark replied. "It's called compassion. Look it up." Tara stifled a laugh. The teen filming whispered yes. But Cheryl pressed on. "I have a doctor's note for my emotional support lavender diffuser." "Why don't I get to board first?" A businessman nearby choked on his coffee, laughing. Cheryl then demanded the dog go in the cargo hold. Ace let out a soft, incredulous huff, his only input. "He's more qualified to be here than you are," Mark quipped. Even the flight attendants gathering at the gate were watching now. One murmured, "She's gonna lose it in a middle seat, I can feel it." Cheryl turned on Tara again. "You're violating HIPAA," she shrieked. "That's not how HIPAA works," Tara sighed. Mark chuckled. "If I had a nickel for every time someone yelled HIPAA in public, I'd own a plane and skip this mess." Boarding started and Cheryl, true to form, tried to shove her way into the priority lane ahead of Mark. "Move, dog guy," she sneered, bumping the leash. Ace calmly stood, blocking her, not aggressive, just a solid wall of loyalty. "Is this an attack?" Cheryl wailed, flailing her phone. "That dog assaulted me." Passengers laughed openly. "Lady, that dog's got better manners than you," someone called out. Cheryl froze, then, in a final twist of fate, Tara pulled out a clipboard and circled a seat number. "Looks like you're reassigned to the back row," she said sweetly. "Middle seat, no window, next to the bathroom." "But I'm Platinum Elite." Cheryl gasped. "I deserve an aisle." Tara smiled. "And he deserves basic respect, but here we are." Mark and Ace boarded in sync, leaving Cheryl's storm of entitlement behind. She stomped onto the plane like she was starring in her own courtroom drama. glaring down the aisle as if picking her next target. Her seatmates, a pair of newlyweds in matching, just married, shirts, looked up in dread as she squeezed into 34B, muttering, unacceptable, like a broken record. I paid for an upgrade, she hissed to no one, wedging herself between them with all the grace of a falling ladder. Meanwhile, Ace settled in row 6, curled at Mark's feet on a blanket a flight attendant had slipped him. But Cheryl wasn't done. 10 minutes after takeoff, she mashed the call button like it was a personal vendetta. Miss, I need to speak to the captain, she demanded when flight attendant Lisa approached, her smile tight and her patience thinner. Lisa, who'd handled 7 red ice that week and once calmed a rowdy bachelor party mid-turbulence, didn't flinch. Ma'am, is this an emergency? Cheryl pointed down the aisle. That dog, she hissed. It's staring at me. Lisa glanced at Ace, half asleep. He's a service animal, ma'am. He's trained to stay alert, even when resting. Cheryl clutched her purse like a lifeline. You mean he's awake on purpose? That's harassment. The newlyweds were already regretting their seats. Got a spare parachute? The groom whispered. Cheryl flicked on her phone's flashlight, aiming it at Ace. I'm sending this to PETA, the FAA. Maybe even Elon Musk, someone will care. Lisa tried to defuse. We're at 30,000 feet, ma'am. I can offer you a ginger ale and a chance to not make a scene. Cheryl's eyes narrowed. You think I won't make a scene? Lisa sighed. Oh, I know you will. I'm just trying to push it back. Her seatmates nodded, sipping their sodas like they were watching a train wreck unfold. Mark noticed the tension and turned to check the cabin. Ace sat up, alert but calm. Mark gave Lisa a subtle nod, asking if she had it handled. She flashed the universal, not yet, but trying grimace. Then Cheryl stood, unbuckling despite the lit seatbelt sign. I'm going to the cockpit, she declared, to demand a reseating and report dog aggression. A gasp rippled through the aisle. Lisa blocked her with precision. Ma'am, sit down now. Or what? Cheryl snapped, one foot in the aisle. You'll call air jail? Lisa's radio crackled. Cabin crew to row 34. Came the voice of lead attendant Greg, who'd been watching from the galley. Greg arrived tall, calm, with a voice that could soothe a storm. Hello, ma'am, he said smoothly. I hear you're having a reality crisis. Cheryl blinked. Excuse me. You're not allergic, the dog's not attacking, and no, you can't storm the cockpit, he said. Those aren't optional flight perks. I'm being discriminated against, she yelled. I'm an emotional person. You're definitely something, the groom muttered. Greg smiled. Last chance, sit and enjoy some pretzels or we'll document this formally. Cheryl scoffed. That dog's probably the captain. Mark leaned into the aisle. No, ma'am, I'm just the guy who flew a 737 through a blizzard last week while you were yelling at a barista. Laughter spread. Cheryl sat, but it was a tactical retreat. She pulled out her phone and filmed a dramatic monologue. I'm being harassed on Delta Flight 4821 by a military guy and his lab, she said, as if narrating a crime scene. This is how veterans treat civilians. Mark rolled his eyes. Lisa, passing by, whispered, you're mixing up, honorably discharged with putting up with your crap. Even Ace seemed to smirk, huffing in dog speak. Cheryl then turned to her seatmates, unleashing a barrage of questions. Are you vaccinated? Do dogs have souls? Did you know the government hides mics in airline ice? The newlyweds faked sleep like pros. As the flight dragged on, she hit the call button again. This dog's giving me a panic rash, she said, showing Lisa her normal arm. That's a freckle, ma'am. Cheryl gasped. You're not a doctor. This is oppression. Then she tried a petty jab, filing a verbal complaint with Greg, demanding Mark be banned from future flights. For what? Greg asked. Smugness, and the dog judged me. Greg scribbled. Request denied. Passenger has chronic Cherylitis. Cheryl slumped, muttering, just wait till we land, scrolling what looked like a Facebook group called Citizens Against Pets. The cabin sighed in relief, though everyone knew the storm wasn't over. In row 6, Mark and Ace stayed serene, untouched by the chaos. The lights dimmed for the MOVIE, but all eyes were on row 34, where Cheryl sat, lips tight, cheeks red from losing every argument. Then the woman behind her leaned forward. You said your name's Deborah Hensley, right? Cheryl turned, eyes narrowing. Yes, why? The woman smiled. I'm with Visa's fraud team. You called us last month, threatening to sue over a denied emotional support hamster. Ring a bell? Cheryl stammered, I don't know what you're talking about. But the woman flashed her ID. You filed 3 fraud claims with us in a month, tried to claim a gift card for therapeutic animals, and scared my intern with a viral threat. The newlyweds perked up. She faked servui animal claims? The bride asked. Yep, the visa rep nodded. And Delta's flagged her for gaming special needs perks. Cheryl flailed. This is a witch hunt. I'm a victim of allergy oppression. Lisa returned, sensing the shift. Something I should know? The visa rep stood. She's got a history of faking ESA docs for upgrades. Lisa smirked. Not the first time someone's tried that, but first time they yelled at a dog named Ace. Cheryl, cornered, switched gears. I didn't lie. My therapist said I needed a doger, maybe to stop lying about needing one, I forget. Mark stood. So you tried to kick my servui dog off because you wanted to scam your way to first class? Cheryl said nothing. Ace whined not mad, just disappointed. Greg returned with a passenger manifest and a folder. Operations confirmed something fun, he said loudly. MS. Hensley filed 2 ADA claims with Delta, one for a chihuahua named Spike, another for a guinea pig named Noodle. Both denied. That guinea pig was vital. Cheryl shouted, a line that stuck. It helped with my seasonal mood swings. The groom laughed, spilling his soda. Lady, my cat's got better excuses. Greg flipped the page. Also, she was banned from United last year for faking an emotional support squirrel and charging passengers to pet it. Mark blinked. You ran a petting zoo scam on a plane? Cheryl shook, voice cracking. I have rights. Faking disability claims is a federal crime, the visa rep added. So maybe stop talking. I want my lawyer. Cheryl screamed. Ma'am, you're 30,000 feet up, Lisa said. Your lawyer's probably offline playing solitaire. Then an off-duty air marshal from row 9 stood. This is a security issue now, given her fraud and aggression. Cheryl hit her phone, but it was still recording a live stream titled, Dog Drama, Delta Discrimination, broadcasting to 8 Facebook friends. One commented, Cheryl, you good? This looks bad. Another wrote, is this the dog from your HOA fight? Mark laughed. Wait, you're that HOA Cheryl? It clicked she was the viral tyrant of Pinewood Estates, infamous for finding people over lawn ornaments and reporting a kid's lemonade stand. I knew that voice, someone gasped. She called the cops on my cousin's wheelchair ramp. Cheryl sank, mumbling it blocked the sidewalk aesthetic. Greg leaned in. We'll document this at landing. Clear your calendar. Mark glanced at Ace. Still think he's the issue? Cheryl pulled out a blue inhaler and puffed it dramatically, out of moves. The plane landed smoothly, but the cabin buzzed with anticipation. As it stopped at gate C-14, Lisa's voice chimed over the intercom. Welcome to Dallas-Fort Worth. Please stay seated until authorities meet one of our special guests. Cheryl croaked. Authorities. Mark unbuckled, Ace grabbing his leash like a pro. Through the window, 2 airport security officers and a federal marshal waited on the jet bridge, looking like they'd seen this MOVIE before. Oh no, Cheryl muttered, trying to scarf her face. Phone's flash, her meltdown was already viral. Greg approached. MS. Hensley, you'll deplane last with an escort. I have a connecting flight to Phoenix, she snapped. You'll be lucky to hit the food court, Lisa quipped. Mark passed her row. You could have watched MOVIE and chilled. Instead, you live-streamed your own bust. Passengers clapped for Ace as he and Mark exited. To sanity, one yelled. The officers boarded. Deborah Hensley, one asked. She raised a shaky hand. Come with us. We need to discuss a mid-flight report. It was a misunderstanding, she barked. I was protecting my health. Ma'am, the officer said, flipping a binder, you faked a disability, disrupted the flight, tried to breach the cockpit, and falsely accused a servui animal. That's your health. Cheryl unraveled. This is oppression. I'll call the FA. We are the FAA, one replied dryly. Lisa and Greg watched from the galley. Peanuts for the road? Lisa whispered. Only with cuffs, Greg grinned. Outside, the terminal buzzed, phones out, murmurs spreading. That's the HOA lady who banned porch flags, someone shouted. Hey Cheryl, how's the guinea pig? She lunged for her phone, yelling, I'm recording, but her stream was already down, flagged for misinformation. Mark at security nodded to Lisa. That's a wrap on Cheryl versus a violation law. Lisa laughed. Next week, someone registers a llama as a therapist. The officers read Cheryl her rights, not an arrest yet, but a federal inquiry. This'll hit your TSA record, one said. Flying's about to get rough. Mark's last words as she was led away: "Don't worry, Ace and I won't be on your next flight. The internet will." Ace wagged his tail and Cheryl was gone, escorted off like yesterday's news, Leah vying behind a gum wrapper, a fake ESA form, and a half-used Cheryl Serenity spray.